So this morning, and even the teachers, I would say 48 hours ago, did not know we were going to gather as a building, as a middle school, as a student body, with all the staff. But I felt it important, Dr. Laporte felt it was important. Mr. Himmelberger, Dr. Thompson, your superintendent and assistant superintendent, felt it was so important that we just spend a little time together on an area and a focus that sometimes is forgotten. 2 months ago, in January, a club that we will recognize probably in about 15 minutes, the PBIS After School Club, brought together a Spirit Week because there was a national movement across our country. It was called No Name Calling Week. It was in the middle of January. If you recall, all of us, students, staff, being led by Ms. Blanchard and the PBIS Club, signed a pledge to either try and put an end to face-to-face bullying. And I don't want to say try, because honestly, the pledge you all took 2 months ago will put an end to face-to-face bullying. And that pledge you all took was to report the face-to-face bullying, to share it safely with any adults that you know that will take that information and share it with whomever it's important that might need to know that. There are many different ways that we can safely report bullying or any concerns that might be going on in our community. One is through email, and often I have parents, guardians, grandparents, uncles, aunts. They will email me, they will email Dr. Laporte, and share what might be going on at home. There is also a link on our middle school homepage, and there's a link on every school homepage in our district, where if you do not want to be named, if you want to share any concern, even beyond bullying, you can make a report and your name will not be attached to it. Boys and girls, that is how we end bullying. 7th and 8th graders especially, we had a 16-month project, Revolution Kindness. This is a revolution as well. This is called Revolution Bystander. And they take the word stand and bystander because obviously that is the action verb that is the most important of the bystander. In reviewing these videos and doing a YouTube search of cyberbullying, a story that just recently broke in the last 2 weeks is one that is very popular. It's something that comes up in any Google search or YouTube search. Mr. Martin, I'm just going to wave to you very quickly. So Mr. Martin came to me about 3 weeks ago, and he asked me if I heard the story that we're going to show you some news clips of this story in just a minute or so. And he was so inspired by this story that he inspired me and reminded me the importance that we come together as a student body. And as much as 2 months ago, our PBIS club put a focus on the face-to-face bullying, I feel like we left something out. And that is the online, the cyberbullying, the things that happen through text messages, the things that happen through Kik chats, the things that happen through Snapchat, the things that happen on Facebook, the things that happen on Twitter. Everything that happens on all of those sites, on all of those apps, are unfortunately just as brutal, vile, disgusting that happens in the face-to-face. What is strangely ironic about the online world, though, is the safety and security that Mr. Nurborn thought he had behind a computer or with his phone lighting up his face, thinking that he will never be caught. When Mr. Martins came into my office and shared with me that a national story just broke, and that he was inspired, and he inspired me, that we put our focus on this story,
Baseball legend Curt Schilling is proving himself an all-star dad, tracking down cyberbullies who were harassing his daughter, Gabby.
This was so far beyond any line, I can't even say they crossed the line. They created a whole new game. And then I got upset at that point.
It started when Schilling, the retired pitching ace for the Boston Red Sox, proudly posted a tweet about his daughter being recruited by Salve Regina University in Rhode Island to play softball. Congrats to Gabby Schilling, who will pitch for the Salve Regina Seahawks next year. It didn't take long for Schilling to be inundated with vulgar tweets about Gabby. They're so disgusting, we can't and won't show them. Now, those internet trolls are learning an important lesson. You don't mess with Curt Schilling. Schilling tracked down the worst offenders and outed them on his blog.
I had names, schools, teams, coaches, parents, families. Everywhere they were online, I identified it, I'd named them, I knew who they were and where they were.
One is Adam Nagel, a college radio DJ at Brookdale Community College in New Jersey. He has now been suspended. The other guy was identified as Sean McDonald, a part-time ticket seller at, get this, Yankee Stadium. He's been fired.
No one deserves to be treated like this, and it's against the law in a lot of cases for people to talk like that.
Schilling's sleuthing is earning him plenty of plaudits.
Any father, do you want to stand up for your child?
He says he's considering taking legal action against one of these cyberbullies.
Good for him.
Yeah. Gabby Schilling tweeted her gratitude to her dad. Don't know what I would do without you. I love you so much.
There are rights and wrongs, and there are moral absolutes, and when you cross them, you need to know you're going to pay.
So as I shared, after this story, and I'm curious, maybe we can do just this silently, just with a show of hands. Who heard this story? Okay. This was just 2 weeks ago that this went, if I could use this word in the world of cyber, this went viral. So this was everywhere just 2 weeks ago. So it doesn't surprise me a lot of you heard this. So Mr. Martins came to me right after this went viral. It was on just about every media outlet. And again, we reflected, Mr. Martins and I, on the No Name Calling Week. So we just want to do No Name Calling Week version 2.0. And we're going to put forth a pledge. I don't know if you saw it as you were walking in. So the banner looks strikingly similar. The only difference is the color of the banner. And as an ELA teacher, I just put the little triangle, where I added the online word. I pledge my best to do my best to not call others hurtful online names and to intervene if I safely can in situations where students are being called names. So this puts the focus on in the online world. This is a student-made banner that at this time I would like to call the PBIS Club and its advisor, Ms. Blanchard, to stage, please. So we can present this banner to them, and we're going to sign this pledge like we signed the previous pledge. So again, if Ms. Blanchard and the PBIS Club come to stage. So everything happens for a reason. I think Mr. Martins knew that I was a big Red Sox fan. The biggest Red Sox fan, though, on this stage is not me. It's Ms. Blanchard. In the story that we just saw, we had, unfortunately, 4 bullies who, by the way, was bullying under fake profiles. And just know, if you ever create a fake profile, it takes state police, local authorities, and the FBI probably about 15 minutes to track where you were under the IP address. And because I've said it to many of you many times, how many years? How many years is it archived, Greta? 7, close. 7 years. It's archived. 7 years. It can take state police, anybody. Ms. Blanchard, in the story that we just reviewed, we had 4 bullies. Who was the victim? Who was the victim?
Curt Schilling's daughter.
Curt Schilling's daughter. Her name is Gabby Schilling. Who was the bystander? Who was the one who reported? Her father, Curt Schilling. At this time, I present to you Curt Schilling. am not joking when I say to you there is no bigger Red Sox fan right here. So it was kismet, it was fate, that she leads the charge of all these students, all these student leaders who are on the stage, who also lead the charge, who in a couple minutes will be signing the pledge with Curt Schilling to put an end to online bullying. The only way to put an end to it is to report it and to empower the bystander. I'm going to present to you our latest hardened hero, because he is a bystander. He stood up for bullying. He stood up for his daughter. And for 4 years now, we've been recognizing heroes among our community. If you don't know this, Curt Schilling lives pretty close to our community. So this presentation is made to Curt Schilling, and I want to give him an opportunity to speak to all of you.
Guys. So I guess once again my mouth made the news. I want to do something real quick, and I want you guys to pay attention. I want you teachers to pay attention. If you've ever said something deliberately to make somebody feel good about themselves, something positive, raise your hand. Nice. If you've ever deliberately said something nasty, vile, as bad as you could think to make somebody intentionally feel bad about themselves, raise your hand. Oh, we got more truth tellers than I thought. Here's the thing, guys. If you understand this, all the teachers are taking notes, by the way. The one thing that cyber, and you know what, I'm going to get rid of cyber. I don't like cyber. Cyber and online makes it sound harmless. It's bullying. I don't care where you do it. But I realized that early on, the one thing that they're most terrified of is being caught and being embarrassed and being humiliated. Much like the person or the people they're trying to embarrass and humiliate themselves. See, and I know you guys have heard the stories from your parents and teachers. When I was a kid, and you know, it was after dinosaurs, but before, you know, the space shuttle. But this didn't happen because we didn't have these tools. Thank goodness for me we didn't have these tools, because you know, I just can't shut up. But the important thing is that this, you can deny as parents and as adults all you want the internet. The internet's where you guys are growing up. The iPhone, iPad, Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, all of it. And then, so that's just part of what you do and who you are. It is not online. People were responding to me saying, you know, there were people on Twitter bullying Curt Schilling's daughter, and then in real life they got fired. Twitter is real life. Whether you like it or not, it's real life, because when you apply for a job, everything you put online, think of the pictures and the comments, all of that stuff, and you're going to laugh because you know you've sent stuff and said stuff, you're like, oh, wow, people can find. People will find. If you work at a good company, they'll know everything about you before you sit down for that interview. And to a lot of people, for me, I'd be, nah, it's kind of embarrassing. I've said some things that are stupid, but not harmful. Because when we grew up, when I was a kid, we had it flipped. We had it flipped. The bystander, when we were kids, was the snitch, was the tattletale, was the outcast. And amazingly, those guys, those girls, were right along with what we called the nerds when we were growing up. They were the people that were into stuff that jocks weren't into. Now the nerds are running the world, and everybody else works for them. But more importantly, I've come to realize as a father that the bystander, the tattletale, and the snitch, it takes more guts to be that person than anybody in that circle. It takes more guts to be that person than anybody in that circle. First of all, you don't have the right to make anybody feel bad about themselves. I don't care who you are or what you do. First of all, it's a horrible feeling. When you do it and you know it, it's a horrible feeling. But remember this. Remember that if you remember nothing else, don't ever let anyone that you don't know dictate how you live your life. Don't ever let it happen. And I get it. I remember being 16, 17, 18 where what was said about you, no matter who it was the world. And I understand that. But to be very clear, for you people out there that are bullies, it doesn't take guts. It actually takes a lack. You're gutless to be a bully. You're spineless to be a bully. You're evil to be a bully. You're making somebody feel bad about themselves so you feel better. And that speaks to you. And if you're watching, if you're bystanding, you can tell a lot about a person by how they react and they do things like this. And people don't forget. I can remember seeing bullies in high school. And I thank God I never was one, because my dad would have beat the crud out of me. But it's something, to me, it's one of the weakest things you can exhibit as a human being. It's not, there's nothing tough about being a bully. Nothing proud, nothing manly, nothing macho. Being a bully is one of the weakest things you can do. Again, you're making yourself feel good by making somebody else feel bad. And if that was as far as it went for me, you know, these people on Twitter that had attacked my daughter, they had said the evil, nasty things that people say about me. Listen, I wore a Red Sox uniform in New York. I know what nasty is. All right? But for me, I just block those people because the world's full of it. It's always going to be a part of it. But what have you accomplished by doing this? That's one of the things that's always been confusing to me. Making someone else feel bad, I don't understand where the satisfaction. A lot of it comes from insecurity. Bullies are usually the most insecure people you'll ever meet. There's nothing on the side of bullying that you can carry forward as a quality or a characteristic you want to be associated with. And that's the thing. These people are anonymous online, and you do things anonymously online because you believe no one's going to trace it back to you. Well, if you don't want something traced back to you, why do it in the first place? Because I promise you, the smartest person in here with computers is going to get caught. People that stay anonymous on the internet are taking down governments, are taking money from banks. You won't find them. You guys aren't experts. And you won't be, unless that's the field you choose to go in. You'll be working for our government probably at that point. You will be found. You will be caught. And if it's an attack on my family, I promise you, you'll be caught. I have resources. You don't need money. You don't need celebrity. You don't need any of it. You just need the desire to put somebody in their place. And you guys are growing up in a different world. The challenges you guys have to me is just mind-boggling. Electronically, all of it. We didn't have to deal with it. You do, and it's part of your lives. And that doesn't, you can't make that go away. And it doesn't have very much to do with fair or right or wrong. It's just life. And you have to understand, once you leave your home, the word fair goes out the door. The world's not going to treat you fair. But that doesn't mean you can't be a good person. And again, let me just stress this. Don't ever let someone you don't know make you feel bad. Because you're probably never, ever going to know them. And the internet's full of them. And lastly, let me just say this. I know it's hard to believe, and I know you guys are still probably getting caught by it. You have no idea who you're talking to on the internet. None. Unless it's somebody from school that you know personally. But you interact with a lot of different people online. And all you have to do is watch 15 minutes of television to know that there are really, really evil people in the world. And the internet's a perfect forum for them. That 17-year-old girl that you're talking to in Minnesota generally is not. It's a 35-year-old basement-dwelling, nasty person in somewhere else. And the internet's full of them. And again, that's the real world. But you have to be aware. And that's not just for you. I love the bystander piece of this. I don't want you to stand idly by and let things happen. I think that's one of the reasons why we've gotten where we've gotten as a society, the apathy. Well, that's them, not me. Take care of your friends. Do the right thing. Stand up to a bully. Turn them in. That takes guts. That takes fortitude. That takes confidence and belief in yourself. And it's the right thing to do. And I had a manager, and I'll finish with this. Every spring training, Terry Francona would open up camp with his rules. And here was basically all of his rules. If you think you're screwing up, you probably are. And I'm done. That's exactly how his spring went. Because you know the difference between right and wrong. And you know when you're doing something wrong, and that's not going to stop you. You're going to make mistakes. That's going to happen forever. You're going to lose a lot. That's life. That's how you build, and that's how you feel confident when you do win. The only way to fail something is to quit. If you don't quit, you're never going to fail. But the difference between right and wrong, those are decisions and choices you have to live with for the rest of your life. So, do the right thing. And how many Yankee fans in here? Really, you would raise your hand. Hey, listen, thank you guys for having me out today.
So we're just going to ask Mr. Schilling, along with our PBIS club, every student will have a chance to sign this banner at their grade level lunch. We're going to ask Curt Schilling and the PBIS club to just stand in front of the stage and be the first to sign the banner, please. We all know that if you're crazy enough that you think you can change the world, then you're going to change the world. In our school, has been so bizarrely lucky when it comes to state and national recognition. I'm lucky with Curt Schilling, one of my idols, to answer just a random message. And just so you know, Curt Schilling told you that you never know who you're talking to. So for 2 weeks, I was a little worried. One last thing, and I'm going to ask all students to stay in their seats. You may stand up, but I'm going to pull a David Ortiz. I want a selfie with Curt Schilling, and I want my students in the background. You may stand, you may put your hands up, but do not move. I have the 2004 World Series ring. So we are done with this assembly. I have all I need. Let's give one more round of applause to